Okay. Officially, good morning. Welcome out to the Market Watch Group weekly opening bell. It's not Tuesday, or excuse me, it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. It's not 9:15. It's 9:25. Unfortunately, I had a weird uh, update that just stalled and I couldn't get my computer to turn on. So it was a little bit of a nightmare over here. But we are up and running now. And so, uh, Steven said nobody showed up for cocktail hour. Yeah, I was a couple hours north hanging out with my daughter and ended up staying longer than we should. And I didn't have a chance to even get on my computer last night. And then this morning it was like, whoo. Anyways, let's get into it. Disclaimers, not advisors, not brokers. We don't give guidance. We don't give recommendation. This is for education, illustrative purposes only. Let's look at the futures. Let's look at the economic calendar. I have the wrong. Was that the wrong one? Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Let's get to it. Real quickly. Real quickly. Um, futures are not happy. Futures are not happy. We know that we're still hoping things come out. It's a big week for jobs and information. Oil is down 3.3%. The S&P is down 0.6, the Dow 0.6, the Nasdaq 0.7, the Russell's down 1%. So it's a bit of a there's some anxiety here that we're gonna have to watch and see what it looks like. What's that mean? It means we're gonna manage the positions that we're in, and we're gonna be waiting with any new trades that we thought may be developing. Our posture improved. To a 5.25. We got a full point. The conditions, the underlying conditions, have shown us enough strength. That we're going to try to see how this looks. But there it is. No, is that catastrophic? We're like, oh, the market's down again. No, that's not bad. We're down 0.5%. That doesn't even really disrupt the current signal that we were looking at. So, yeah, what do we do here? We watch. How does it feel? Let me ask that. How did it feel when you came in and you saw the futures? Let me see what Steven said. There seems to be some concern about a recession if job numbers are not good. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. If you look at every metric we look at, now, is there concern that there's weakness that we haven't seen yet? And I'm not saying, I don't know. Maybe you guys have a different take than me, but for me, I feel like, it's fine. Do we have to get through this? If the market has some anxieties, certainly we have to pay attention to those, right? And so, look, this is fine. We've eased back a little bit. Now, what do? We watch the opening range. The talk of a recession, Stephen, you're right that we're gonna hear it. But do we have concerns of it? No. No. Is there still some concern that the market's not ready to pop? Yeah, sure. I would say that that's true. Absolutely. So that's what we're doing here. We're watching, we're seeing what's the response. What do we do with this? Let's take a look at the VIX. Certainly the VIX is going to help us understand this too. And there's you can see the jitters to some extent, right? But it's jittering. Let me get my pen out. In a low basing pattern. A low basing pattern. What does that mean? That's what it means. Are we concerned if it breaks out of this? Yes. That's concerning if that happens, right? That's something that we look for. Is right now the consolidation on the VIX is not a diagonal consolidation, which we sometimes have. So, yeah. So we have to be careful if it breaks to the upside. But even right now, you'll notice with the market down 0.5% here, it's less volatility than we saw here. So we're not going to panic. That's the thing, right? We're not going to be like, oh, the market's down. What do we do? We're going to be like, okay, relax. Watch the opening range. And then we'll settle into it. So, for those who missed it, how did our posture increase 1 point? Long term stayed the same, but we did get a 1/4 point from the short term. We got a 1/4 point from the volume. Major market stayed the same. We got a 1/4 point from sector rotation and a 1/4 point from the VIX. If you weren't there and you're curious, I believe that our group range, and if someone is above or below this range, let me know. Right now is between 4.25 and 6. 4.25 was the lowest. Someone said 6 was the highest. Is anyone above or below that range? Just so you have a sense of the group and where everyone is. Remember, our objective here together is not that we're all trying to find our way to one score. That would actually weaken us as a group. I want us to have that range. Absolutely. That strengthens us as a group. That range. Now we have to be careful of what we make of the outliers and when we see them. We haven't had one yet, really, right? We haven't had an outlier yet. We haven't had a time, knock on wood, we haven't had a time in, going on 18 months as a group where we just fundamentally missed the market. Certainly, there's times where something might happen where we're like, oh, that's crazy. But we haven't missed anything regarding conditions. So, Stephen made a comment. Where was it? He said, the futures being down is not unusual. That happens. Our posture's too strong for that concern. That's the statement of the day. The posture is what's supposed to provide us strength or comfort or something in the market where we're like, hey, this isn't like, this isn't something that we're just like, oh, everything's going to fall apart out of nowhere. Yes, I love that statement. That's exactly how we should look at it. The strength of our posture is what we're going to look at and lean on right now to how we're going to manage these trades. Beautiful. Love it. Okay. Let's get to the watch list. Actually, no, we need to take a look at a couple of other things. What's going on? Remember that it's nothing until later this week. So today, construction spending and manufacturing, these are nothing reports. There's nothing there. They haven't even come out yet, but they're nothing reports. Tomorrow, job openings. That number, remember, we looked at these job openings, and even right now, we are still higher than any job opening report pre-pandemic. We're higher than any of them. It will keep coming back. It has to until it gets down to like 7 million, 6.5 million. That's closer. And that's even closer to a bullish time. Even when it drops, it dropped to still a bullish time. So like, when we were at 6-7 million job openings, that was in 2019 prior to the pandemic. Market was great. Economy was great. Thursday, ADP employment numbers are supposed to come in around 122. That's maintenance levels. We can't start predicting recessions using employment numbers if we're at maintenance levels. We have maintenance. Same thing down here when you look at the U.S. employment report. 162 versus 114. It's expected to pop back up. 150-ish is maintenance on the Department of Labor report. And if you look down here, they're actually projecting that unemployment will tick back down. And I know there's some uncertainty. They're like, but what about the revisions? I know a big deal was made politically of the revisions. They happen all the time. It's constant. Sometimes it's revised up. Sometimes it's revised down. It's really not like anything that's all that out of the ordinary. And so now there's a little bit of extra like suspicion. There shouldn't be. It's fine. So if we're looking for a recession to start showing up based on employment, we don't have it yet. It's not there. We don't have the signal. The data doesn't support the assertion in this situation. Doesn't support it. And then, Friday's non-farm. So everyone's making it like, oh, we've got jobs this week and the futures start down. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Nothing untoward. Okay, let's get to our watch list. There you go. Steven said it right. He said most of the revisions are due to late reporting. Fed asked for information to get their data. Absolutely. Absolutely. Apple. If you remember, Apple, we have on our list, but we said we think it's still in its consolidation. And there it is. Still consolidating. Amazon. Yeah. Look, great day on Amazon on Friday. Today, it's giving some back. I'm not going to panic. I don't think you're going to panic. Let's let it stabilize. Everything still indicates momentum. No one's happy about it, right? No one's happy about it, but we're going to stick with our trades. AXP. Okay, so let's talk about financials. You remember financials? We said, financials aren't really showing us anything that makes us think that something is developing, right? Now I do. Now look, now we're pulling back. Now we have our stochastics rolling over. Now if we pull back anywhere between, I'd say 250 and 254, if this eases down and finds some support right through here, absolutely we'll trade that. Bank of America, Steven, are you still riding this one? I know you had traded this before. Still looks viable. BLDR, that's the first industrial on our list It's holding up fantastically. Old old resistance, broke through it, new high. Now, as I extend this line, when you talk about old resistance becomes new support. Do you see it? Resistance, support, right? This is still absolutely just like chomping at the. If that happens, I'll put an alert on this, right? Let's not lose our minds about what we see happening today. Citigroup, that's not even pulling back that much. Caterpillar, so Caterpillar was the other industrial that we said, not really putting that on the list. That wasn't on our short list this week. Until now. I'm going to add it now. It was moving. It was too much momentum up, and now that it's pulling back, I think, if this thing drops down here, you recognize we're seeing a lot of these types of patterns, right? There's our cups, and then we're thinking handles, and then when we trade them, we think first the handle, then the cup. That's what we tend to look for. So, yeah, I don't want anyone to lose their minds on this. I added this back in. Now that it's continued to prove me wrong, I said I'm taking my focus off of consumer staples, and the market's like, well, you shouldn't have done that, buddy. Oh, I don't know. What do we think about Chipotle? Is it flagging? Did we flag, and are we breaking the flag? That's a possibility right there. That is a possibility right there. It seems to be shaking off their concerns of losing their CEO. Anyone in this still? Sandy, I know you've been trading this one. Costco still looks setting up. We know that it just made a new high and it's pulled back and it's kind of in this support zone. If it comes out of this support zone and this thing turns, and you've got plenty of time before earnings for this trade to materialize. So even as today is disruptive, we still have setups. And if we have setups, then we're still thinking that this market has viability for us. Carvana still setting up. Very beautiful setup. Beautiful trend. Higher high, higher low. Just waiting for the sellers to finish up. Look at this one. We dropped from 160 to 148. 12 points. 12 points. That's a nice 7.5% consolidation. Perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. Diamonds. Holding up. Fastenal. There's another one. This is Miguel's little engine that could. Just same thing as it was doing. No reason to get out. Not moving the way you want, but it just sort of kind of keeps you in the game, right? GBTC. Gold. I'm still bullish on gold. I don't really trade a lot of gold these days. But just looking at the analysis, I would say I'm still bullish. Okay, what else? General Motors, full cup with a deep V. Ooh, that's a deep V. We got all the way back up. What are we thinking here? You'll notice we're just riding this overbought. I just need the handle. Give me a handle. GM is viable, right? It's full recovery. I think I haven't looked at Ford. I didn't think Ford kept up, but let's just see if I'm right or wrong. Oh, yeah, look at the difference between Ford and GM on the recovery. They both had the same type of a drop. They dropped from a similar place and in a similar manner. But the recovery for GM significantly better, right? Not even a question between those two. Ford, nope. GM, Google. Okay, so this is Google's last stand for me. I still had no problem with it here holding, but you'll notice we got down to this level here. But this is still just like where the breakout was. This is still my last low. But I don't want it to get below this hiccup. As long as it doesn't get below this hiccup, Google's still valid. If it turns, we'll see. We'll see. Not only is this valid, this is a setup. This is a beautiful setup. So what does this mean? When we get a day like today where the market drops some, after we got a couple of early signals, it means that your early signals are going to be stressed. But the signals that you were waiting for are going to look ideal. You're like, oh man, this looks perfect. What am I? Yeah. So what are we going to do? I'm going to hold on to the ones that I'm in, and I'm going to look to see if the rest of these stabilize. And then I get into the new window of trades, and then I'm in all of them. That's ideal. We'll see what happens. IWM looks okay still. JP Morgan is a freight train. This barely pulling back. KBH cup and handle pattern again. And looking viable, right? Looking viable. Coke, just a magnificent. McDonald's, very close. McDonald's has literally pulled back $5. It's a $290 stock. It's consolidated $5. It's like 2.5%. Meta looks like if the day stabilizes and Meta still looks like this, that could give a signal. Look at it. It looks great. MMM, a little bit of a consolidation. Morgan Stanley, a little bit of a consolidation. Microsoft, we actually talked about Microsoft as viable on Friday, and now you can see that one's actually moving further. And I'm thinking about throwing out a continuation trade, and Microsoft is a candidate. So if you look with Microsoft and Meta, that's two of the big ones trying to help. If they're trying to help, we're certainly looking for it. Yeah, so I think we still, not only do we have, right, not only are we not thinking, oh, what's going on, the market's dropping, we're thinking, hey, there's signals. There's signals. So Micron, not yet. Ooh, that was a nasty one. I don't love when it's like holding and then drops, but Micron was the least of our chips. The question is, do we see this in chips throughout the rest of the group? And Netflix is just kind of pausing. So you can see NVIDIA dropping a little further too, right? Palantir, our other trade, holding up. Yeah, well done, Palantir. So the things that we're in they're not great. Of course they're not great. You don't expect bullish trades to be great when the market drops 0.5 to 1%. But when you look at what we have, they're holding up comparatively, and they're not wrong. So we have two trades that were earlier trades that aren't wrong, and then we have a bunch of trades that we're saying this is still viable. This is still viable. This is still setting up. This is possibly firing today. That tells us that our 5.25 market's holding up, right? That's like Steven said, our posture's strong enough. We shouldn't get shook like that. Q still looks like a bullish setup. Just because it went up, down, but it's still holding this same support. That doesn't change anything for us. S&P's down, but certainly not out. TSM, TSM got a little bit of a hiccup. So yeah, the chips are a little off. We're gonna have to watch the chips. Those are a little off. Microsoft looks fine. Meta looks fine. Apple still looks okay, not turning. The chips are a little bit a drag on technology right now. The dollar hasn't moved. So the VIX is a little higher still, but it's in the same range. Even if it gets up to this 18 level here, that's not going to tell us anything new, right? It's not going to tell us anything new. Here's Walmart. Walmart's just a beast. A real quick look through the sectors. Materials are pulling back a little bit. Communication services still look fine. Energy's dropping. That's good. Financials still look fine. Industrials consolidating, but that's potentially turning into a trade. We've got BLDR we're looking at. Technology still in the same consolidation it was Friday. Nothing new there. Staples looks normal. Utilities. Just a little bit of a rough Monday start. Right? Don't make more of it than it needs to be. That's what I would say. How's everyone feeling? It got quiet in here. We've now processed the market. Yeah. We've now processed the market. And I think everything's fine. Hangover, that's it, Steven. I agree. I agree. It feels like just a little bit of a hangover. Miguel, that's a big drama queens. That's 100%. Excuse me. When would I look at FinVid? Oh, would you mean searching press? We actually earmarked Tuesday night, which is tonight. Keep forgetting that. Tonight, that's exactly what I thought you meant. Press, not necessarily compared to our watch list, but seek opportunities. Yes, you mean scrub the watch list to say, are there areas that we could have more, right? Like I think industrials, we need more. I think maybe financials, maybe technology. Yeah, I agree with you there. So we did earmark some time tonight. If you can make it, make it. If you can't, check the recordings. One of them will probably talk about searching. I'm trying to label them so you know what you're going to hear to some extent. How could you be so hopeful the last 30 minutes of Friday, have a few beers to celebrate Labor Day, then be weary of a recession? Yeah, I mean, that's just, you know what I mean? It's different people at different times. It's flagging it. That's the herd, man. That's the herd. It's a skittish thing, you know? A rock falls, you know, makes a noise and the herd gets skittish and we're like, oh, we're going to start running the other way. And then everyone's like, wait, why are we running this way? Nobody knows. And then, yeah, that's just kind of how it is. So I'm actually fine. So anyway, yeah, we're in trades. Are they fantastic and just like nothing's wrong? No, of course they're getting impacted by the movement of the day, but nothing that's like we need to panic or close. We still have setups. We still have potential triggers for today, and that's in the morning when things look like this. Imagine if the market stabilizes and the buyers come back in the afternoon, which is some of the things we've been seeing. There you go. Lastly, the trading plan. We are working on section 4 this week, risk management, which is a really, really important one. Really important. So, yes. If you haven't gone through it, go through it. I'm actually going to bring this up tonight as well. I'm going to start putting, we basically have, I'm not going to ever take Glenn's time. Glenn does his thing on Thursday, and then I have the after with that one that's more trading oriented. So today, searching and trading plan. We'll talk about our trades that we're in. We'll talk about setup still, but we're going to do some work too. Yeah. So make sure you've got the big 3: portfolio, heat, trade risk, number of trades. That's the first little bit. The rest of it, the adjustments, the correlation, the rest of that is more as you refine it. So if it's your first pass, get A, B, and C at a minimum, and work through them in order of priority. So yeah, if you can come tonight to the working sessions for trading foundations, then we will be doing some trading, looking at trades, managing trades, the trades that we're in. We'll look at new trades. We're going to look at searches, and we're going to look at the trading plan. And there's always videos. Sandy, you're right. She says there's videos on that and resources. So, yeah, I hope you can join me tonight. Again, those of you who stuck it out, if you were late, I was late. I had an update that just wouldn't finish, and I couldn't get my computer on, and then everything was slow to load. So, anyways, we were a few minutes late starting, but we started late and finished strong. Feeling good, feeling like we have a grasp on this and ready to move forward. So hopefully I'll see you guys tonight at 8 p.m. That's what time it is, right? Yeah. Tonight at 8 p.m. Join me. 8 to 8:45. We'll be doing the beginner stuff. 8:50 to 9:30. We'll go into the intermediate. It should be a blast. I hope you can make it. Thanks everyone for coming out. Have a great rest of your day. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. Right? Midweek check-in is tomorrow. Anytime we have short weeks because we lost the Monday, we meet Mondays, or we do Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. So I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:15 a.m. And as always, happy trading.